Right, hey guys. So I finally got to watch this film, got it on Google Play Movies. Man, I had to wait for this. I wanted to watch it in cinemas and I absolutely blew the chance when I had it, and I really regret it because this film was a beautiful, beautiful piece of eye candy. This is just like plain, it's like flight porn, right? Basically, this is orgasms in the sky with the way the film dictates itself. It's really just magnificent. The pacing, the action, the intensity, the what do you call this? The ideas behind the way they navigate these planes. Like I'm sure for a fighter pilot, this is like their everyday job, but for me watching it, it was something to marvel upon. And man, this was brilliant. So first of all, the story is really, really flat. It's a very simple story. It's just Tom Cruise riding around on a motorbike, flying planes, and he's got to teach this school of Top Gun, which is the top fighter pilots in the world, the top 1% apparently. So there's like this team of for essentially they're like young kids, if you would put it that way. I believe they're in their 20s. Probably the oldest is close to 30, but I think they're mostly in their 20s, which is the probable young age for, a fighter pilot. And yeah, they're all excellent pilots in their own right, but they're nothing compared to the likes of Maverick, who is returning to service after 30 years, which is after the film, 30 years ago. And yeah, he's returning to, become a teacher in order to help these kids pilot a very, very dangerous mission, which is in some kind of trench. So they gotta go and nuke this, not really nuke, they gotta go and bomb this kind of trench where apparently there's like these dangerous chemicals they're storing, and so he needs to be there to get rid of this enemy base, right? So he has to train these kids, and he has 3 weeks to get the mission trained. And the thing is, these kids, although they are really good in their own right, they're not as experienced or as technical as the way Maverick can, pilot his plane. But on top of that, um, the way they are, at their current capability, they may be able to complete the mission, but they may not live to tell the tale. So Maverick's idea is that he wants every one of them to be able to survive the mission, which is apparently something that's going to be the long shot in this story. So John Hamm plays the admiral who is at the moment in charge of the mission, and he calls in Maverick to come and train these people, and he does not really believe that these people will be able to survive, and he just considers it as part of the job. These if these people die, that's just part of the job. So Miles Teller plays Lieutenant Bradshaw, who is apparently the son of the Bradshaw that died in the original Top Gun. And Maverick regrets it, so he feels Rooster is sort of like his own kid. And there are these minor flashbacks to sort of throw you back to the original film, but this film does not really care about his story too much. There's a little bit of emotions here and there, some beautiful music, some riding into the sunset, a completely pointless love story, and a lot of these unnecessary scenes, which in the end build up to just a very, very amazing fight sequence, and flight sequence, I would say. Fight and flight. It's not fight or flight here. It's fight and flight. And he's taking on these bad guys. He's, helping the team coordinate through these missions. He's training them with these amazing fighter pilot skills. And yeah, this is just eye candy. I'm giving it a 6 out of 10 because there's really no story here. Dialogues are very basic, but it's all about the way the technicality involved to take these shots, the amazing scenes that we get, and also the intelligence behind some of these fight scenes. It's not just I'm flying the plane, I'm going to shoot this guy, boom, it's gone. No, there's actually a lot of technicality involved, and I think this reminds me of this flight show that I've seen live. During some kind of national day celebration. So these pilots, they gotta like spin in circles while flipping their jets, and they gotta do it in sync. And it's really impressive to see how they can do all this while flying at near supersonic speeds, right? So in this film, they're also flying at ridiculous speeds while doing all of these insane movements, but they're fighting for their lives, right? So There's a lot of intensity, a lot of pressure. There's only so much a person can take before they break. But in this sense, because they're just such excellent soldiers, they're able to hold it together. And so even in the crew, there's like, one girl, Phoenix, who's like basically the only girl in this crew, I believe. Oh wait, there's also a Halo, right? Yeah, there's actually another lieutenant. I'm not sure why my wife couldn't spot. My wife thought there's only one girl, but actually yeah, there's another one. I was telling her like, no, there has to be another girl. She was like, no, I think there's only one. But yeah, anyway, there's another one here. So Phoenix is like the main girl in this story, who's like sort of like the strong, female character, I would say, who was, among all these men. But I don't think she's depicted that way. I think the way I see it, she's just another soldier, right? Like when it comes down to it, she could push a button and destroy her whole family because she's still a fighter pilot. There's really no difference between her or him, right? She can perform her mission the same despite being a girl. Like maybe when it comes down to hand combat, she may lose to some guy like what do you call this? A Bradshaw or whatever. But I mean, when she's in the plane, she's doing her job, and I'm sure she's an excellent pilot, which is what she was in this film. So there's really none of those political kind of feminist elements and all that bullshit in this. There's really nothing to do with that. This is about telling a story. They try to have certain like, oh, she's a girl and so they make fun of her, that kind of scene for like which ran on for like 5 seconds, and that's about it. Everything else is very much focusing on the mission, focusing on the flight scenes, and I really like that. I love the intensity. It is amazing. So there were these interesting maneuvers that Maverick makes right throughout the film. One of the most amazing things that I saw in this, right? I'm not sure whether they have the shot, but one of the most amazing shot that I saw in this film, which I've never honestly never ever thought of, never seen before, is the one where he wants to defend his what do you call it? His wingman, right? Who's basically the the fighter pilot who follows you to protect you from someone else who may want to tail you. So they break off and they protect you from someone else who's tailing you. So he wants to protect that guy, the wingman who's behind him, who's played by Bradshaw in this case. So what he does to protect Bradshaw is because Bradshaw runs out of flares, so he can't protect himself from this auto turrets that are firing anti-air missiles. So he can't turn around, he can't fire at it, so he hits a speed brake. He pulls the plane back against over his wingman's plane. The wingman is behind him, he's in front. He pulls his plane up and he releases his flares that goes behind his wingman and protects the wingman and takes the missile's hit. But he also gets hit by another missile. But that shot was so incredibly insane. I absolutely had to like rewind and rewatch it at least twice. That was such an intense and awesome shot, and I can't imagine watching this in cinema and not being able to rewind that shot. That would have absolutely blown me because that shot was just so incredible and so intense. And I think this is something where, people make fun of Zack Snyder's slow motion or, other directors who do slow motion or whatever. Say, oh, slow motion is bad. But honestly, that shot needed slow motion. Just because it happened so fast, so quick. It was such an amazing shot, but we couldn't really, like fully, indulge or experience it because it happened too quickly. And it was such an amazing, such an intelligently taken shot. The idea, the choreography behind it was so well done. But yeah, it's just that one thing. It was too short, too quick. But other than that, there was also another scene where they are, I believe, in an F-14, and they are being what do you call this? Tailed by two fifth gen fighters, and they're suspicious about this plane. They're not sure whether it's an enemy or ally, and so they come up close to it, and they have another plane behind him. And so in that sequence, what Maverick does is he knows he can't take on both planes at once, and so he just hits the brake while being on the side of a plane. He flies past it and he shoots it down. And then as that plane is going down, his buddy fires a missile at Maverick, and Maverick moves his plane across the plane that he just shot down. So the missile's impact goes into the plane that's going down, and he blocks the missile. He eliminates the plane that's already going down, and he escapes. And that was another insane and incredible scene. And I was like, wow, that's genius. And so they have these amazing, mind-blowing moments, backed up by an incredibly hollow story with poor dialogues. But yeah, it's still brilliant eye candy. A film that you definitely want to watch for this sort of flight porn moments. It's absolutely insane, incredible. I really enjoyed it, but the rating is what it is. It's not going to win an Oscars because this is not a film that's like, as I said, there's really no story to back it up. And yeah, just gonna throw some really loud emotional music to make you feel like you're in this beautiful 80s and 70s set, which is what all the 80s films used to do, right? The scene is bad, throw in this insanely loud, incredible emotional music, and do some shots of some sunlight and some motorcycle riding, and all of a sudden it feels like a great film. It's not. The story is still bad. But regardless, deep down they try to have an interesting tale to tell for Maverick, and I think this is a beautiful film and another masterpiece, I would say, by in this case, who's the director, Joseph Kosinski. That's amazing. Good job. I'm sure Tom Cruise had a lot to do with it as well. But yeah, these are things that you really can only get from Tom Cruise, I would say. It's really intense, really cool. Fantastic film. I highly recommend you guys to check it out. And I really regret not having watched this in cinema. But once again, I'm so glad that I'm able to rewind it and rewatch it in Google Play. So yeah, that's something that I think is just better for me. Um, but it is what it is. Overall, I think the flight choreography, the action sequences is really what drives this film. The music in the action scenes is just better than all the other loud emotional soundtracks that amount to nothing because the music that builds to the intensity during the action scenes are really important. Now, I'm not sure who the music director was in this, but it was something. It is something that I probably will look up and probably listen to some of the music because, yeah, some of the sounds in this was just insane. It's incredible. And yeah, I mean, Tom Cruise has to keep coming up with films like these because this is something we are completely missing, completely lacking in our current time. And yeah, these are just amazing things that it's a gift to be able to watch these things because who else is going to take such an intense flight action sequence and going to show it to us like this, right? We haven't had this in a while, and so thanks a lot to Joseph, Tom. I mean, this is brilliant. This is amazing. Unfortunately, if it had a story to build upon, maybe another 20 minutes, make it 2:30 or something. Just give it a bit more backstory, give a bit more reason, slightly better writing on the dialogues, throw away the pointless love story. Just focus on this guy who's trying to bring these kids home. As just a captain trying to do his job in his best way possible. And so that sort of thing. It's also nice to see Val Kilmer. It's been a while. One of my, I think one of the Batmans who I hold close to the heart, despite not being a very good Batman. I did enjoy his films. They were quite fun, quite good films. Um, so yeah, that's it from me for this one. Top Gun. What a Top Gun film, man. That's crazy. This film it crushes the previous film hands down. There's no way the previous film holds a candle to this. This is something else, right? Um, yeah, what the previous is 6.9. Nah, I don't think so. I think this is like a 4 or 5. It's no way anywhere near whatever this masterpiece was. And I'm giving this a 6 just because of its hollow writing. But yeah, it is what it is. I'm so glad so many people enjoyed this 8 out 8.5. I'm sure all of these ratings are just because of how much of an eye candy this film was. Um, yeah. So that's it from me for this one. Take care.